Let's go.
Let's go. Oh, no.
Do you want to?
Sorry. I'll let you.
Next one.
I'm excited and I feel relaxed and I'm ready to party. Don't say sorry. You don't need to do that. You don't need to apologize. It's a fucked up female habit. You don't need to be sorry for anything ever.
Can you guess what every woman's worst nightmare is?
I don't have rage issues!
I have nothing to prove to you.
When I'm good, I'm very good. But when I'm bad, I'm better.
I say when it comes to stardom and Lauren, there are no accidents.
Hi, Karen Peterson.
Hello, and welcome to Citizen Dame, the podcast where we are just loving world travel. There's nothing to see here. Everything's great. Movie theaters in the White House are wonderful. Everything's fine. Yeah. I'm Karen Peterson, joined by Lauren Humphreys Brooks.
Hello. Yes, if you can't tell, Karen has had several very exciting experiences on airplanes. Nothing like bad, but just really, really annoying.
Yeah. I had some travel woes this week. Just trying to get up for a one night quick trip. And everything went wrong. But you know what? That was just kind of my whole week. And then also on top of that, just getting to watch the White House get torn down, which just feels like such a perfect symbol of where we are in the world. So I'm tired for physical and mental and emotional reasons this week. I don't know about you, Lauren. How are you?
I'm actually doing pretty well. Yeah, I mean, watching Donald Trump destroy the White House, I mean, it is kind of apt and unsurprising, but it does make me mad because, it just makes me mad.
Do you know how much trouble I would get in if I just painted my rental unit? Like, it's not his house. What is he doing?
No. I don't understand how he's even allowed to do this.
There's no such thing as you're not allowed. That doesn't stick in his brain. He's not actually allowed.
It's shocking to me. And at the same time, I'm not one of those people that particularly venerates the White House itself. It's terrible in some ways, but it is just this. It's offensive. It's because that is supposed to belong to us.
Mm-hmm.
Right, that's our property, right? That belongs to the American people, and he's just bulldozing it, which again, very apt.
Yep.
But can't get away with this shit, man. Fuck you, bro.
Yeah.
For something so fucking ugly. That's the thing. I was thinking about it. I was thinking about that quote from Emma Thompson the other night again. I expected that this kind of thing, that men would men would try to destroy the world in my lifetime. I didn't expect for them to be such losers.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing, is such losers. It's Trump has the worst fucking taste.
Yes.
In the world. You're just he's so embarrassing. It's same thing with Elon Musk. They're so embarrassing. It's not even you're doing you're putting up something that even looks nice. You're just an embarrassment all around. You're such a fucking loser. And I think that they know it too. I think that they have this desperation to be beloved, and they know that they're losers. Not losers as in, oh, you don't have any friends or anything like that, but just you're the pinnacle of loserdom and nothing you do in your life will ever change that.
Right.
Because that's the creatures that they are. So yeah, it makes me mad.
Yeah. Well, it's because I agree with you. I mean, the White House itself, I think that, well, we don't need to get into that, but it's the lack of respect for the office that he holds, and the lack of respect for history, architecture, all of that. And it's just this, I'm going to do what I want and no one can stop me. That's where I'm just why are people okay with this? Why does this keep being allowed to happen?
Mm-hmm.
It's maddening.
Yep.
So let's talk about someone who said, damn the man, I'm going to kill all the girls. Um,
Incarnation of pure evil at the age of
yes,
6 is
yes.
just
Oh, yes, we're going to talk about that. Anyway, this week we are talking about Halloween from 1978, directed by John Carpenter, written by John Carpenter and Debra Hill, and starring baby Jamie Lee Curtis.
yes.
Yeah. So, of course, I don't think there's anybody listening to this that doesn't know what Halloween is, but for anybody who might not, it's basically one of the first slashers, definitely not the first, by several years, but an early slasher movie in which a young man named Michael Myers breaks out of an insane asylum where he has been since he was 6 years old after murdering his sister, and he runs around the town that he grew up in, was born in, not grew up, because he grew up in the mental institution, and tries to kill babysitters. So that's basically, what happens. So and meanwhile we have the doctor who knew from the time that he was very, very young that Michael Myers is the incarnation, as you said, of pure evil, and he's trying to catch Michael. And we have Laurie Strode, who is Jamie Lee Curtis, and for no reason whatsoever until we find out in the second movie that there's really no reason why Michael Myers is coming after her, but he is. Until they create a fake backstory in the second movie.
Yeah, we're ignoring that. We're just dealing with Halloween. I there's so few horror franchises that actually work. And Halloween is definitely a horror franchise that does not work, because I love Michael as a killer, but Halloween the movie, the singular film, is brilliant.
So good.
And it is perfect as a standalone. It works perfectly. There is no reason to have any of the sequels. Halloween 2 is fine. I watched it, I think, last year, and it's perfectly enjoyable, like, to watch. It's not as good as the original. And then it just, I haven't seen all of the sequels. I did see the sort of reboot, but not really a reboot, that came out, whatever that was, back in 2020 or whatever, 2018, which again, I didn't have strong feelings about one way or the other. It was just sort of there, and I was like, all right, that's pretty much it. But yeah, you don't need, that's the thing, you don't need backstories for these guys. We know
Right.
Michael's backstory.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's funny because I think I've seen every sequel. There was one that I was like, I don't know if I've seen it, but then I remembered last year, I think I watched every Halloween movie. And so I've seen all of them, and most of them are not good, but yet I don't know what it is. I still enjoy them. Even the dumb, like, Halloween 2.0, where Jamie Lee Curtis is like the head mistress of some private school or college or something, I don't really know, and her son goes to school there, and like Michael, she admits is her brother, like, so they're still going with this whole like Michael's her brother thing. And that movie is so bad. LL Cool J's in it.
Oh, I remember this. It's like, it was like Halloween H2O or something.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah.
I think because she had not been in one or two of them, and then they hadn't made them for a long time, and then they decided to bring it back, and that was what they did. And it's not good, but yeah, it was so entertaining. So yeah. And then the David Gordon Green ones, I do not enjoy them. I do think that the second one, Halloween, I can't remember. There's Halloween Kills, and Halloween something else, and I can't remember which.
I think it's Halloween Ends.
Halloween Ends, that's right.
One, yeah.
So Halloween Kills did do some interesting things with like mob mentality and sort of this kill the beast, type of idea, but it also just wasn't very good. But whatever, like, it's whatever, it's fine. But yeah. Anyway, but the first Halloween, which is what we're here to talk about today, we're not here to talk about the whole franchise. Lauren, do you remember when you first saw it?
I have a weird relationship with Halloween because I saw it quite late and the in terms of my horror education. The reason for this is because when I was a little kid, my parents bought the video cassette of Halloween from Blockbuster and never opened it ever. It was like they were terrified of the film. Like they bought it and then just never watched it. And it was like they were scared of the film itself. So for whatever reason, having this video, this still wrapped video in our house for so long just really infused it with all of this power for me. And I don't know, I'll have to ask my parents, like, were you actually scared to watch it, or was it just like you never got the opportunity? Because like they wouldn't have shown it to me when I was little, right? So it may have been one of those that like they were planning to watch it together and just never were able to, or something. But like, I kind of want to know, it's like, were you afraid of watching Halloween? Because I wound up seeing Halloween before they did. Like, I grew up and was like, okay, I need to watch Halloween because it's classic, right? It's it's a horror film. It's one of the original slashers. I need to see it. And so I don't think I actually saw it until I was in college, and like rented the DVD from my library. So that was when I saw it. I just remember being like, oh yeah, this is terrifying. Like it's such a good, clean, nasty, well-made film. It's so sharp. Like it's just so well done. And definitely my favorite of all of the original slashers. Like the Friday the 13th films are messy. Nightmare on Elm Street is fine, but it's not my preferred kind of horror. I love this sort of gradually building of tension that John Carpenter does in this film. It's so good.
Yeah. My first time watching this was while I was babysitting. Yeah. Or should I say my first time attempting to watch this, because I got very freaked out and turned it off. So
I understand that. I mean, like if I was babysitting, I'd be like, oh, I don't want to watch this now.
Yeah, like I knew vaguely that it was a movie about, this is pre-Scream. And this, because let's see, Scream came out in what, 95, I think. And Scream was the first slasher movie I ever saw in the theater. And I mean, these movies were long out and not in the theaters, but I wasn't really a big fan of the genre until Scream. But for some reason, this one night, it would have been probably like 1992, 93, I was babysitting for this family. There were 3 kids, 1 girl, and then two little boys. The parents were out at a Halloween party, and the kids had gone to bed. And I turned on the TV and it was just starting. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm just going to try this. Like, how bad could it be? It's from the 70s. And forgetting that Jaws is also from the 70s. And that movie also still creeps me out. And anyways, so I started watching it and I don't remember exactly the point where I turned it off. I think it was when Annie is trying to wash her clothes and she's out in the shed with the washer and dryer. And I just got so creeped out that I was just like, I can't do this. And so I turned it off and like watched a Disney movie or something. And then it was not until Scream came out a couple of years later and I saw that, and the Michael Myers Halloween question is one of the trivia questions in the beginning of the movie, and I was just like, you know what, I really need to go back and finish Halloween. I need to try it again. And then I did, and it still creeped me out, but it was so much more fun because I was no longer babysitting at that point and I was able to get through it, and it was just such a good movie. And and now it's one that I watch pretty much every October. So, and I think I've seen, like I said, I'm pretty sure I've seen every every version of every sequel and all that. So that's my history with Halloween.
Including Halloween 3 Season of the Witch.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, that was one I just watched for the first time last year. Mm-hmm.
For anyone who has not seen Halloween 3, it has absolutely nothing to do with Michael Myers or anything like that.
It's so ridiculous.
It's such a weird, it has the most annoying jingle in the history of jingles, and it will stick in your head forever. And it was, but the plan had been like that they were going to do movies set on Halloween, right?
Yeah.
That was part of the idea of like turning Halloween into a franchise, was not Michael Myers, but these scary stories that are set on Halloween and being told on Halloween. And that was the concept behind it. But the fact that they went with the story that they did in Season of the Witch is just like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
It's great.
Well, I remember that coming around. Well, I mean, I don't remember that time, but I know that came around at a time when there was like so much weirdness about microwaves and all these things that we were bringing into our homes that the government was going to use to control us. And I think that Season of the Witch was kind of a reaction to that fear that that was pervasive at the time. So
it's like subliminal messages, also subliminal messages, like, you know, secret, you know, like Judas Priest putting secret lyrics if you play it backwards in their records, and the whole satanic panic was also kind of had been shaped around about that time. So yeah, it makes sense, but in retrospect it is a ridiculous movie. Anyway,
it's so silly.
We're not talking about the franchise, but I do encourage people, if you want to just watch a really silly scary movie, watch Halloween 3. It's an experience.
Yes. Yes, but yeah, Halloween. All right, so yeah, as you said, and as we I think all can agree, Halloween, which came out in 1978, this movie is almost 50 years old, and it's still creepy. It's still really, it's so effective because of the way that it's shot and because of how spare it is. It doesn't rely on a lot of effects or it just doesn't, it's not dependent on big things to tell the story. It's very simple. I mean, this it didn't cost a lot to make it. There's not big stars in it at the time. And it's, I think a lot of what they use to really get you, obviously the knife, a lot of just suspense. Is this killer going to be behind the refrigerator door? Is he going to be right outside the window? Like, where is he? And so all of that helps build a movie that is just really tense, and it shows that you don't need all that extra stuff to have an effective scary movie. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, it's really just it's very straightforward. It's a knife-wielding killer who's like stalking this suburban place, and it's set up so well as well. So we get right from first of all, you get from the beginning the freaky music, which is so good and so recognizable. But even if you don't know any of this, like if you go into it without really having any knowledge of the film or the story, the music or anything, it's just immediately gets to you. Like it's just so it's like the psycho the psycho violins, it's like the Jaws music, all like it sets it up so well. It gets into your system. And it all starts with primarily this POV sequence from the perspective of what we find out is a 6-year-old boy, and him kind of following his sister and her boyfriend around until his sister is left alone, and she's supposed to be babysitting him. And his sister is left alone, and he stabs her multiple times. And then you get that, which is still this almost shocking moment of the reveal of who the killer is, right? Who is this angelic 6-year-old child, right? He doesn't look evil, as it were. And that's how the whole kind of story opens. And then we get all of this, we get everything that we need. We get Michael's backstory, we understand who he is. And then we kind of are jumping forward into, you know, the present day and Michael's escape, all of those things. It's so well structured and well set up. There's not that much violence throughout a good bit of the film. That's one of the things that even I noticed a great deal when I was watching it this time, is that you get that kind of opening murder, but after that, there's a whole long stretch that is just building of tension and building of the characters and building of the backstory. There's not violence. There's not a lot of killing or stabbing, or like, there's not blood everywhere. Even when we do get to the violence, it's not horrifically bloody. It's just really short and quick and effective, and we know the danger, and we keep on seeing the danger kind of building and building until we get to that final sequence where that is basically just a standoff between Michael and Laurie.
Mm-hmm.
But so much of the film is just setting that up and preparing us for that. It's incredibly effective, and it's just a dude in like a mechanic's jumpsuit and a mask.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah. And we never hear him talk. We never really hear anything from him except for breathing. But what we know is what we're hearing from his psychiatrist, who I have questions about Dr. Loomis. And questions for Dr. Loomis. But I think that having this opening scene, which part of the reason why it is, well, I mean, obviously it's shocking to imagine a 6-year-old child stabbing his sister to death, dressed up in a clown costume, by the way. But it's funny because part of what I always get a chuckle out of is that the way that it's shot, because it's from his POV. But if you're looking at the screen, it's like, this is not a 6-year-old child's point of view. This is obviously an adult holding this camera, walking through, you know. And I don't like, just a fun fact is that it's actually Debra Hill's hand holding the knife, wearing the costume. It's not the little boy. But yeah, so it's like, if you're watching it, you would not, like, if you don't know what's coming, you would not have any reason to suspect it's a child, because the camera is just too high, for one thing. But yeah, so this murder happens, and then we see the killer go outside and stand there, and then this car pulls up, and two parents get out, and it's the Myers, the Mr. and Mrs. Myers, and they just see Michael standing in front of the house, just a blank look on his face, and holding a bloody knife. And I think they know without knowing what's happened. And so even though we have no reason, we don't know anything about this family, we don't know anything about Michael or why he would do something like this, to me, I think the fact that his parents just kind of seem to already know what's happened tells me that there's been more going on in this house that we never find out about. Excuse me, sorry. That there's been more going on in this house than we ever find out. But that's just me. Maybe Dr. Loomis wasn't totally off base. We just don't have all the facts.
Well, and I love that. Like, we talked about how the sequels try to kind of build this complex backstory about Michael, a lot of which doesn't fit together, right? But I really love the fact that what we get is this, sequence that is quite frightening, and is actually something that, if you know films from like the 70s, this is not that unusual. Several critics were talking about how, this is like a pioneering technique. It's not. The POV shots from the killer's perspective has been used a number of times before 1978 through like the black gloved killer scenarios in a lot of the earlier like Bava films, stuff like that.
Even Jaws used that with the shark.
Yeah, so you get the POV shots, but what's different here is that we are conditioned to expect, right? If you're watching this film in 78, or if you know horror history, you are conditioned to expect that this is an adult killer. And the whole way that it's framed is like, oh, this is like the killer stalking the babysitter, right? And then it's revealed at the end of all of this that this is actually her 6-year-old brother.
Yeah.
And that's what's so like shocking about that. And it establishes everything for us, but it also, like you say, opens up all of these questions like, what happened? like what do you mean? Even in watching this, I was like, were there like signs that there was something seriously wrong with Michael, or is this just shocking? And I think a couple of times throughout the film, you have characters who say like, oh, every town has a story like this.
Mm-hmm.
There's like people, so I think one of like the gravedigger or something like that is talking to Dr. Loomis and says, oh, in our town there's like a man who he sat down, he had dinner, and then he went out to the shed, got a hacksaw, and killed his entire family, right? And so, but I think that that's part of what Carpenter is doing as well, is that they're spinning out this story that is like that ghost story, that like the family that the father went crazy and killed everybody with an axe kind of thing.
Yeah.
But that's sort of boiling violence that is underneath these very staid, comfortable, upper middle class white suburban exterior. And that's part of what Michael is representing, is this, why do you do it? Why did this little 6-year-old kid murder his sister with a butcher knife? Where does that even come from? And Loomis's conclusion is evil, right? that like, but it's interesting, even the way that Loomis talks about him, and that's really the only window that we get into Michael's upbringing, right? Michael's past, until the point that he escapes from the mental institution, is that this is someone who he never has spoken since he killed his sister. And, Loomis says something like, for 8 years, I tried to reach him. And then after that, I just tried to keep him locked up. Because Loomis's conclusion after 8 years is this child is the incarnation of pure evil. Like, that's basically his attitude. And it's that, at a thematic level, it's that meaninglessness. Why did you do this? There is no reason for it. There is no, it goes back to a little bit to like stuff like Psycho and also to the giallo thrillers, which usually do have motives underlying them. Mm-hmm. But it still goes back to that concept of like this eruption of the chaos world, this concept of human monstrosity coming out in what are supposed to be the safest places. And the fact that this is happening in this very, sort of white suburban middle America, rather than, New York City or LA or something like that, is very indicative, because it's what's underlying all of those facades. And what's underlying that is Michael, right? Whatever he is, the boogeyman.
Yeah, which the boogeyman is something that we hear a lot. It starts with the kids at school. They talk about this idea of the boogeyman, and I certainly remember that when I was a kid. And what made the boogeyman so creepy was that it was like supposed to be this unstoppable force. There was no rhyme or reason. There's all these cultures with legends about these scary creatures or entities or people that will come and take you away if you're bad, like to try to keep kids behaved. And but the boogeyman, there was no rhyme or reason to who this was and why he would come after you. It was like he could just show up at any time and kill anybody he wanted. And that's essentially what Michael Myers is. And I think it's so funny that Dr. Loomis, after 8 years of working with a child who just wouldn't speak, this is the conclusion he came to. But also, he's apparently an expert, and we are just supposed to kind of take what he says and not think too deeply about the fact that he came to this conclusion when that child was 14 years old, and we're just supposed to accept that this is correct, that Michael is the personification of evil, because that is exactly what we see in this movie. He comes back to his hometown and immediately just starts trying to murder babysitters. And even though he's hyper focused on Laurie, who is a good and very attentive sitter, the first ones that he kills are the ones who are not paying attention to the children they're supposed to be watching, and they're doing other things, which is exactly what his sister did, which is why he killed her in the first place, presumably.
Yeah, well, it is kind of, and there are a lot of, I think there are a lot of different interpretations that people put on, that there is some kind of moral judgment going on. And I think all of them work as interpretations, but I don't think all of them explain Michael and explain what is happening in the film, which is good, like, because all of them are like, these are interesting ways of reading this film, but they're not 100%, we can't come down to this is the one true reading, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, so one of the things that struck me actually in this viewing, and I don't know why, maybe it was because I just knew everything that was coming, so I was like really paying attention to the setup. The whole thing kind of starts because Laurie is asked by her father to go drop off the key to the Myers house because he's trying to sell the Myers house, right?
Yeah.
And she's supposed to go there and leave the key under the mat, and that's it. And that's the point where we know that Michael sees her for the first time.
True.
And there is this kind of, the whole thing with the Myers house in particular is that it's this place that no one will go to. No one's lived there since the murder. It's a haunted house, all of that. So it's pretty much just the way that it was, right? It's like become derelict and everything. It's become decayed, but it's this blot kind of on this pristine suburban landscape. And Laurie is the character who crosses the threshold. She walks up she's not scared of it, first of all. She walks up the stairs, she puts the key under the mat, and she leaves. And that's kind of the beginning of this, fate that entwines her and Michael, because he starts targeting her, he starts following her around specifically. And all of the people who are around her are the ones who get targeted, her friends, the people that like she relates to. He sort of begins working through her friends in an effort to get to her eventually. He's like setting it all up to eventually arrive at like her there. So it turns into this almost accidental, but it's more fatalistic than accident, of just the two of them meeting each other. And it's all because she's the one who's not scared initially. She's willing to cross the threshold.
Yeah, that's true. And she's seen him a couple of times. Like she knows that he's out there, and she's still like when she's got Tommy Doyle, and he's scared because he sees somebody outside, and she's the one that's comforting him. And I really like Laurie Strode as a character, which is part of why I hate some of the later sequels, but neither here nor there. Yeah, I was gonna say something and I lost where I was going with that. But I wasn't trying to say that I think that Michael only goes after babysitters who are inattentive. It's just that they're the first ones that he kills, and I think part of that is because they're easier to kill because they're not paying attention. They're very unaware of what's going on, and it's really easy for him to just kind of work his way through that friend group.
Yeah, it's very like, that's what I'm saying about this whole idea of fate. It's very thematic. Yeah. Right. So why does Michael target these particular people? Because they're the people that he sees Laurie with, right? And he does stalk her. Like he stands outside of the school. He is there, like he watches Tommy at one point. He's like kind of driving around, and you get the sense of like he's this evil that is kind of trying to look for a way in, basically. Yeah. And the way in that he finds is through her friends and through these inattentive, as you say, these inattentive babysitters. So there is kind of this, I think that rather than talking about it in moral terms, I think it's more interesting to think about it in terms of these fatal terms of he's approaching her. Yeah. Through, he's kind of overcoming these different steps, right? And to the point that, I mean, he sets up the murders, what seem like kind of these almost random killings. he sets it up eventually to have this kind of tableau. Basically, you've got in order to scare Laurie specifically, because Laurie then gets in, she goes into the house because she's worried about her friends because they're not answering the phone. She goes in, and then there's one friend that's been murdered is like lying underneath what the sister's tombstone. The boyfriend has been like suspended in the closet. It's like he set up this haunted house for her.
Yeah.
In this, again, this very pristine suburban backdrop. And she freaks out naturally. And that's when he literally comes out of the closet. Like he is in the closet. He's the boogeyman in the closet. And he comes, and that's when he like actually goes after her. He doesn't go after her first and fails. He sets it all up so that she is his final victim.
Yeah. And I think it's all of that buildup is part of why this movie is just so fun and so effective, because we never know at what point he's going to try to come after her. There's a scene where, like, when she and Tommy are in the house watching, I don't even think they'd started watching a movie yet. And Tommy looks outside, sees Michael across the street, and you think like, oh, he's going to see them watching him, and this is when he's going to come over, but he doesn't, and it's like, we keep having these hints of maybe now is when he's going to turn and come after them. And he keeps not doing it. And, yeah, it's interesting. But then there's just but I really like the way that we get time with each person that he kills too, like there's we get to really see that stalker part of it, and him just taking his time. There's the scene where I think it's Linda's boyfriend, the blonde friend, they're the ones that like, the whole situation is just so goofy. So you've got Laurie babysitting Tommy. You've got Annie, who's supposed to be babysitting Lindsay, but then she dumps Lindsay with Laurie and Tommy so that she can go pick up her boyfriend and come back to the house that she does not own, that she does not live in, that she's babysitting at. But she's also invited her friend and a boyfriend over. So the four of them are just going to hang out at somebody else's house. Well, the kid who lives there is across the street. It's like, what are these people doing? It's so weird and so funny. Just these teenagers do not give a shit about other people. And they just want to have fun. And then I was thinking about that, and I was like, it is kind of messed up how often as a teenager, adults expected me to give up my holiday so they could go have fun.
Well, there are no parents in this movie. We see like Laurie's father.
Gen X, I'm telling you.
We see Laurie's father briefly at the beginning, right, when he gives her the key. And that's the other thing. They're always like you're saying, they're always putting their responsibilities off on the teenagers. Yeah. Right. So you are going to look after the children while we go to a party. Like, it's implied that all of the parents are out at Halloween parties.
Right.
Not apparently at each other's houses specifically.
No, where is this
all
party?
Of the houses are like occupied with babysitters and small children. But so you do have this whole kind of setup of the adults, right, not being present. So you've got teenagers and small children. And the children are like looking out the window going like, the boogeyman is outside. The teenagers who are a little bit older and, more in touch with, quote, reality are like, no, the boogeyman can't possibly be outside. Like you say, Laurie's been seeing this man over and over again. And she's kind of like, she's like, something's weird. Something's not right. And even people like the only real adults we see are in like any meaningful way are Sam Loomis and the sheriff, who's also the father of, I think, the first girl who's murdered. And so like they're taking it seriously. Like Loomis is like, this man is dangerous. He's definitely come to this town, right? He doesn't know where though. So both of them, even though they're kind of these authority figures, the doctor and the police officer, are also inept. They're not able to really track down Michael. It takes them, like at one point, Michael literally drives past Dr. Loomis and he's got his back turned. He doesn't see the vehicle, right? So it takes them forever to actually track down Michael. And the only solution that they have to stopping Michael is to shoot him, which doesn't work, as we know.
Right.
And so yeah, you have this kind of setup of this suburban space that where the children are basically abandoned. They are at the mercy of the boogeyman. And the adults are either not present or at the same time they're putting off their responsibilities for defeating evil, literally, and for taking care of the children onto their own children. And so yeah, it's a brilliant critique in that sense. Like if you look at it as that kind of social and cultural critique, that's part of what's going on there as well. Of this like total absence and ineffectiveness of adulthood.
Yeah. And that's why it comes down to, in the end, this 17-year-old girl who is the one who's ultimately fighting back. And I know Dr. Loomis comes in and kind of saves the day at the end, but it's Laurie. Like there wouldn't have been a day to save if it hadn't been for Laurie, you know? And so one of the things that I love about casting Jamie Lee Curtis, of course, her mother was Janet Leigh, who was in Psycho.
Famously not a final girl.
Correct. And died being stabbed to death in a shower. And now we have Jamie Lee Curtis playing this girl who is a virgin, who even when a boy likes her that she likes, she's like, no, I don't want to go out with him. Like she's so scared of boys, probably for good reason. And she ends up getting away from a knife-wielding monster.
She's also, I mean, she's definitely typed as the responsible one.
Yes.
Right. She's the one who's taking, like, they literally give the kids to her.
There's even a line where she says that boys don't like her because she's too smart.
Yeah. So she's the responsible one. She's the smart one. She's virginal. And you see, even like at the point where Michael is coming after her, Michael never really menaces the children at all.
No.
He's going after the babysitters. But so even at the point where Michael is going after her, she keeps on going back to the kids. She's like, you have to leave, right? You have to get out of the house. She's, constantly trying to sort of protect them first. And so there is definitely, I think, this inherent kind of conversation going on about sort of the female role. She isn't frivolous. She is serious. She's serious-minded. She also, is willing to believe her, to buy her own instincts. Basically, she keeps saying that, like, hey, there's this guy that I keep seeing and it's freaking me out. And people sort of dismiss that, much in the same way that the children get dismissed about the boogeyman. But it's kind of being dismissed like, oh, you're seeing things. Or it's like, no, it's just like your next door neighbor, or the other element is just like, or it's sexual. Right, that's like, oh, maybe he likes you. And it's like, no, he does not. Nope. But there is like that kind of intertwining of that the sex and death elements, right? You get the obviously, like, if, as soon as you take off your shirt, don't take off your shirt in slasher movies, ladies, because if we see your boobs, you're gonna die.
Yeah.
But a lot of that tradition then also does call back to stuff like Psycho, where there is this, or as we talked about earlier this year, Peeping Tom. There is this direct connection between female sexuality and the expression of female sexuality and the murder and the sort of the violence of the butcher knife, of the the camera, the whatever it is that is being used. and Laurie as this kind of virginal mother figure, right? Who's looking after the children and is protecting the children and is also the responsible one. She's the one who's not having sex. She's the one who's not even really interested in having sex. And she's ultimately the one who's able to defeat the horror of the slasher.
Yes.
One other reference to Psycho, by the
Mhm.
way, because this always freaks me out, is because I always forget about it. It's Dr. Samuel Loomis. Sam Loomis is Janet Leigh's boyfriend
Yeah.
in Psycho. And I don't know what that means, except that it's just this reference that I love. That's
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, I think it's just, yeah, I don't think that the references to Psycho are in any way accidental.
No,
they're
no.
But yeah, I don't think that they specifically mean anything. I think they're just fun. And I think it's one of those things where it's like, if you know, you know. So
I even remember the first time I saw Halloween, they kept on saying Dr. Loomis, and I was like, that's a really familiar name. I don't know why. It took me forever to realize.
yeah.
But I do think that Carpenter's a very intelligent filmmaker. Debra Hill is a very intelligent writer. They definitely knew what they were doing, and I do think that at that thematic level is that they recognized that they were playing kind of in a space that Psycho sort of was the progenitor of. And you've got Janet Leigh's daughter being stalked by a knife-wielding killer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Janet Leigh's, still her most famous role is the Psycho.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I think one of the things that I really like about Halloween is this movie is the fact that unlike Psycho, they don't go into really explaining Michael. They don't other than Dr. Loomis saying this whole bit about him being just pure evil. We don't know anything about him. We don't know why he mentally went the way that he did, and we don't know why he, after 15 years, suddenly seized on an opportunity to break out of the institution and go back home. We don't know why any of those things happened, and we don't need to. And that's where it's like, it's so silly that in the sequel they decide, oh well, we have to give a reason, we have to come up with this backstory, we have to answer these questions. And I love that Hill and Carpenter were like, no, he's just evil. Yeah. He's just evil. I do think that they don't know math though.
Oh yeah, because he's definitely 21.
He is not exactly 21. The credits say Michael at 23. He's not 23.
Yeah, I always, well, and also, making him 21 is interesting because he's actually very close in age to the babysitters. So you've got these girls who are 16, 17 years old, right? They're seniors in high school.
Yeah.
And so it's sort of it's the young people. Because I think that there's this tendency to view Michael as being this, adult, right? But him and the girls are very, very close to each other, in generation and in just kind of maturity. So there's a relationship that is going on there that I think is really interesting as well. And it's important that he isn't actually 23, that he is 21, that he's really only got a few years on these kids. Yeah, I love the lack of motive, the apparent lack of motive. And again, I think there's a tendency to want to shape a motive. So, even, we've been doing it a little bit where it's like, oh, it's the irresponsible babysitters, right? And I think that's like you said, I think that's definitely thematically relevant, but it's also doesn't go far to explaining Michael, right, and what Michael is and what he represents. And yeah, and a lot of people have talked about, one of the failings of Psycho is that you've got this very sort of pat, comfortable explanation for everything that happens. But then at the end of the film, you get this twist, like this kind of final twist. And I think you have something similar with Halloween where we want to overlay this explanation. Like, why is he doing this? Why did this happen? Because if we understand why, we can feel safe about it.
Mm-hmm.
When really this is very much a monster movie. It's a ghost story. It's why is he doing this? Because that's what he is.
Yeah. Yep, exactly.
And
sorry.
oh, I was just gonna say about the supernatural elements, if we want to talk briefly about the supernatural elements of the character. Because most slashers often take on these kind of supernatural powers. You've got characters like Freddy Krueger, who is literally supernatural. But then you've got people like Michael Myers and Jason and some of the other slashers who are a little bit more human, but not human. They're kind of in this liminal space where they're not ghosts, but they seem to have supernatural powers. So Michael gets stabbed twice, 3 times.
I think it's 3, yeah.
And keeps on coming back. Right? He's eventually shot 6 times and apparently survives. Mm-hmm. And he makes those, like, he appears, right? He's hiding behind a hedge, but when you go to look around the hedge, he's not there. And it is this question of, like, is he human? He is human, but he's not. Like, he has fallibility. He can be stabbed and be hurt, but he can't seem to be killed. And I love how the film kind of plays with that dichotomy without ever answering it fully. Mm-hmm. I really like that. It's like, what is Michael exactly?
Yeah. And we won't know. But he, as you say, he is vulnerable, because there are even without the knife, there are a couple of times where Laurie's able to attack. She's so smart. She even tries to go after him with, like, a coat hanger, because that's all she has access to. Mm-hmm. And he's definitely able to be slowed down, but never stopped.
Yeah, he can trip. He can be run from, like, he doesn't just zip from one place to another.
Right.
She can actually escape him. And yet, he could be shot 6 times and apparently get up and walk away.
Mm-hmm. Was he really hit by the bullets? Who knows?
I also love, like, I know that it's like a William Shatner mask, but I really like the use of the mask, because for so much of the film you don't get a good look at him. Right. And you kind of, so it's this, like, featureless face, right? And I think for the viewer, it's like, okay, we know that he's wearing a mask, but is he? Like, you can't quite grasp him. You can't quite see him. And then we do have one moment where he gets unmasked, and we have this pretty normal, good-looking young man, right? Before he pulls the mask down. But even then, it's difficult to actually get a handle on what Michael looks like. Mm-hmm. And it produces that kind of otherworldly, supernatural feel.
Yeah. Well, we don't even see his eyes, really. So it is just kind of these dark blank, mm-hmm. holes. And so when Dr. Loomis is talking about how, like, his eyes are just dark, there's nothing in them, that's what we see too. Mm-hmm. Anything else?
Yeah, it's a great film. It is. It's still so effective. Like I said, I've seen it so many times, and it still scares me.
Yeah, there are parts of it that I still kind of have to look away, because I get so creeped out. And
so what part? I want to know where you have to look away, Karen.
So it's that laundry room scene. It freaks me out every time, because she's out there by herself. I think it's hilarious that she's yelling for Lindsay because she's locked in, and it's like, you're way out here in the backyard. Lindsay can't hear you. She's watching TV. But yeah, and it's like, even before we see Michael, we feel him there, and we just know that this isn't going to be good. So that part, and then also when Laurie is in the closet and Michael's trying to get in. Like that just really freaks me out too. Yeah.
Yeah, the one that gets me is like after she's discovered all of the like bodies, and she backs up and there's like this just like black yawning space, and it's so subtly done because it's easy to miss when he begins to appear. It's like out of the corner of your eye almost, but you slowly see this like white mask and white face, you know, emerging from the blackness, and it's right behind her. It's terrifying, and again, like you can almost miss it as it starts. Like it's so it's very, very well lit. Brilliant
and
cinematography.
We know he's there, but she doesn't know he's there. And
always scares me. Always scares me. Same thing the last time that he sits up. Where it's like, okay, it's over. Yeah, the kids are out. They're gonna call the police. He's been stabbed multiple times. He's got to be dead. And his body is lying there, and he sits up, and again, she doesn't notice. And you're like, he's right. It's that he's right behind you experience.
Yes. Yep. In fact, I think that's the scene that Randy is watching in Scream when Ghostface goes behind him, and he's like, behind you, look behind you.
Behind you, Jamie. He's right behind you. Yeah.
So good. Anyway. All right. Well, I think that's it then.
Yes.
This is Halloween. Fun time. I cannot believe we've never talked about this before in depth.
I think that we've mentioned it a couple of times,
we've definitely talked about it a lot, but we haven't talked about it like this.
Also, another little fun Easter egg, just to say, the scary movie that is on like initially is The Thing from Outer Space.
The Thing from Another World.
The Thing from Another World, that's right. And of course, a couple years later, John Carpenter makes his version.
In fact, that was his very next movie, I think.
Yeah, it's like it's 1982. That sounds right.
Yeah. And it's funny because on the screen right before it says Howard Hawks, it just says The Thing. We don't see The Thing from Another World, and it's the that's the kind of the logo of John Carpenter's The Thing. So another really good movie.
Yeah, I just rewatched that actually a couple days ago.
I need to watch it again. It's been a long time.
It's very good.
That's not one I watch every year, and I need to change that.
I mean, it's such a different film in a lot of ways. It's like that body horror stuff. Like it's very gross. It's very gross and like, but also very paranoid. It's quite well done. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is going to wrap things up for this week and also for this Halloween spooky movie month. So we thank you so much for listening and following along. Next month, we're going to be getting into Noirvember, and we're excited about that. And we will be back soon with what we're going to be watching in Noirvember. But yeah, so before we get there, though, we want to thank all of you, our listeners, but especially our patrons who help keep the show going. They are Abby, Audra, Brian, Connor, Estefania, Ferdinand, Heather, James, Judy, Carriata, Matt, Michelle, MK, Monty, Nanina, Noel, Robert, Roxy, Steve, and Sharon. If you would like to join them and become a patron too, you can go to patreon.com/citizendame. You get early access to episodes, you get bonus episodes. We're going to have another one very soon. And we're also starting our new bonus series very, very soon. And and you also just get the joy of knowing that you're helping keep the show going and keeping it ad-free. Patreon.com/citizendame. If you also would like to support us, but you don't want to sign up for any long-term commitments, you can go to our Ko-Fi, ko-fi.com/citizendame. Be sure to check out our website, citizendamepod.com, and to reach out, you can email us, citizendamepod@gmail.com, or find us on social media. We're on Instagram and Blue Sky at citizendamepod and Letterboxd at citizendame. And of course, you can find us individually. Lauren, where are you?
I am on Instagram and Letterboxd at LH Business.
I am on Instagram, Letterboxd, and Blue Sky at Karen M. Peterson. That is it. Thank you so much for listening, and we will catch you next time.
And happy Halloween.
Yes.
No, Jamie. Watch out. Watch out, Jamie. You know he's around. You know. Oh, there he is. I told you. He's right around the corner. Jamie, look behind you. Look behind you. Turn around. Behind you. Oh, turn around. Behind you. Behind you, Jamie. Jamie, turn around. Oh, God, I didn't turn around.